It's been 9 months of waiting and COVID has pushed us back twice, but we are finally here for the grand final of the Sim Formula Europe 2022 here at the Maastricht Street Race on rFactor 2. It's going to be a great event. We've got over 10,000 euros of prize pools and of course Hoisingveld pedals as well for the winners today, and we're going to get you through all of the action. Myself, Cameron Roger, as well as Zach Sweeney, bringing you through everything that's going to happen today, and Zach, is certainly going to be a pretty tense bit of action around there. We've been waiting quite a while for this final.
We have. It's really been a long build up to this, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they go on. It's an interesting circuit as well, very long straights and very tight as well. The margin for error is very slim. We've got very short races, 2 races, 7 minutes and 20 minutes, and yeah, you're not going to get many laps in. And of course, with the short nature, it's a sprint to the finish with everything at on the cards. The prizes that are there, the pressure's going to be high, and they're going to be fighting all for it.
And here on the screen is how we have got to this session. So back in December 2021, so yes, this was quite a while ago, we had the hotlap qualifiers followed by the quarterfinals at Monza, where we had 3 20-minute races, and that got us a field of drivers for a 30-minute race at Spa for the semi-final. The top 7 of that race got through to the final today, along with last year's champion, which is Erhan Yuyovski. So those 7 drivers plus Erhan make 8 total drivers here for the grand final at Maastricht. We are using the McLaren Senna GTR, so it's a very fast car. There's going to be a lot of slipstream around a track like this, and it's certainly one that you can push forward very well in the races. And it's had a slight tweak in recent months on rFactor 2 as well, with a new and improved ABS and traction control system as well. So certainly it's something very new for these drivers to get used to, but they have been racing the car a little bit so far, of course, for this competition. And as we said today, we're going to have 2 races. We're going to have a 7-minute sort of reverse grid race, and then we're going to have a 20-minute race 2 for the final. And it is then the combined points total between the 2 races that will get our champion.
Oof, really looking forward to this one. As you say, Monza, Spa, 2 incredible circuits to lead up to the grand final. And yeah, with the interesting format, the reverse grid just shakes it up a little bit, brings people, towards the front. They are 8 incredibly top-notch drivers. They are fantastic drivers. It is a field full of talent, and yeah, they're all going for a massive prize. And honestly, you come into this one, we've got 2 previous champions on the grid. We've got, people who are very well decorated in sim racing. You really go into this not really with a favourite, because all of them have an opportunity to win, and they're all going to be driving absolutely ham for it. So yeah, it's going to be honestly just on the edge of your seats all the way through.
Yeah, it certainly is. With just 8 drivers on the field, that gives you a lot of opportunities. It's not like if you start towards the back, you're in P20, P30, where realistically you're not going to be able to come through the field. Here, with just 8 cars, even with that reverse, it's the top 5 are going to be reversed from the qualifying session. Even if you then go back into that 5th place, you'll still be able to come back to the front, and it's going to be very important. As you say, we've got a couple of champions on the grid. So we've done this the last couple of years. So 2021, Erhan Yuyovski won around Zandvoort, and then also the previous year was Risto Capit as well. So both from R8G. R8G, Zach, as well, have 4 total drivers here, with those 2 plus Marcel Cinchik and Yuri Toman as well. So R8G having half the field, they're going to be in a really strong position.
Yeah, you have to expect that R8G are coming into this one, thinking they're going to come in and get a third championship in a row, which, to be fair to them, I don't blame them. They've got 4 cars on the grid. That's half the field. 2 of them are champions. The other 2 are equally as good drivers. So, yeah, no, R8G are... I said they're not going to really have favourites, but you would expect that R8G
really puts himself in a great place for this second race.
It does, and of course, Simoncic starting on the front row. If he can win this race, I think there's nothing that Toman can really do, because the difference between first and second is 5. The gap is 3. So Simoncic is going to be trying his absolute hardest to win this race, because, as you said, towards the end of race 1, to get that 3 points margin, if you don't win, winning is rewarded a lot more in race 2, because it's 5 points as opposed to the gap of 2 in race 1. So if you can win this race, you're rewarded a lot more for it. So if Simoncic doesn't win, he's got to finish maybe 1 or 2 extra places ahead of Toman to actually consolidate the championship. So starting on the front row, it's a prime opportunity for Simoncic to get ahead and really try and seal this championship. But with Toman potentially can't even do much. So it's going to be hotly contested all the way through this race for P1 between two of the favourites. But also don't count out Burlak as well, because he's matched with Simičić on points. They're both on 18 apiece. So we've got 3 drivers really up there fighting for it. And if any one of them win this race, then it's pretty much a done deal.
Absolutely. That 5 extra bonus points from 35 in that 5th place going down to 30 for that 2nd place, that is going to be so crucial, because a lot of the other positions are only 1 point, and therefore obviously that sort of is a huge effect potentially for what is going to happen. And that means that in the case of Jone Simičić being 3 points behind, if he can get that win and obviously then be second to Toman, that will be enough points for him to jump ahead and get himself the championship here for Sim Formula Europe 2022. So that is obviously going to be quite a major factor for these drivers to look out for. The slipstream is, I think, going to be the biggest factor around here. How you manage that and how you work your way up towards the front, potentially picking one off at a time, but you don't want to sort of break up and splinter the pack. Otherwise, the slipstream then obviously disappears because you're too far behind, and then eventually you'll just drop further and further back.
Even though they're fighting for, €3,500 for winning this competition, you sort of, in a sense, do have to work together. It's a weird way of thinking, but at least for, the first 15, 17 minutes, what do you gain by going for a move, especially if you're in a pack of 8, right? If you're third and you move up into second, what does that gain you? Because, the person you've just overtaken for third can then on the next lap easily get back through with the slipstream. So the overtakes early on don't really mean as much if you're going to stay together as a group. It's only then if you start to splinter off that, then it sort of starts to matter a little bit more. But if you're all in one train all the way to the end, the only time the moves actually matter is on that final lap, because then you cross the line and then the moves are done, sealed, and then that's when the results are in. So they're going to have to work together, because it's so difficult to make that time back up. I think we are actually underway. We managed to get ourselves back into the session. So already we are seeing them nicely in a group. So they've managed to keep it nice and sensible. At the moment, it's Kevin Siggy from Jone Simičić at 1 and 2. But yeah, again, they don't want to risk splintering off because of how difficult it is to make that time up with this track being majority straight lines.
Yes, it seems, as you say, the race did get restarted, and it seems that after all that, Kevin Ziggy's got himself back to the front. Yossi dropping down from that pole position down into that 3rd place. That is going to be a really healthy position for Jone Simičić to be into, and of course Juri Toman is just behind there as well, so that is looking very good. And that extra 5 points for the win is what is going to be so crucial. 20-minute race, and it looks like we've got 16 left, so we've had about a lap and a half already of the event, and as it stands, it is just going to be so close. We will do our best to work out the points as we get towards the end of the race, but for now, let's see the action going as we are coming up the hill once again, and all the drivers slipstreaming each other.
They are indeed, as to be expected. Siggy holding firm out in front. He's got Jone Simičić, who managed to hold station in P2. Juri Toman back in P4. So Jone Simičić has got that buffer back to him, but again, he's going to want to extend it to P1. But Kevin Siggy seems to be doing a really good job, just keeping everyone at a nice arm's length. And it's more so everyone bumped up behind Simičić in second, because Siggy is so quick through this sort of tight and twisty section. He's managed to get himself ahead. So when it does come to a straight, Simičić is almost too far back to properly utilise the slipstream, and everyone else is closer to him. You can see Jujovski is only, tucked up right beneath the rear wing of Jone Simičić. So coming down in towards T1, is Jujovski going to go for the move? Simičić certainly did look to defend it, but for Jujovski, do you go for this move? Do you get in front of Simičić to try and help out your teammate, or do you fight and get into second for your own personal sake? Because if he does go for this move, you have to say that it is going to be so difficult to try and close that gap back up to Ziggy.
And yeah, the idea really for these guys is possibly to push Jone up if they can towards Ziggy. They don't let Ziggy go through, although actually looks like Jovski. This is where we saw the crash earlier with Chinchik and a little bit earlier in the first race, but it looks like that hasn't happened this time around. Toman also getting up the inside of Simičić, losing 2 places there. Simičić down to that 4th place. This puts Toman in a great position. But Ziggy, 14 points he is sitting on currently. That is 7 points, behind Toman. So he needs to stay in this position because that is a 7-point gap. And if there are ties, the result from this race will then determine who is ahead or behind in the tiebreaker. So as it stands, Ziggy would be sort of tied, but then being the champion as well is now Simičić trying to defend in the background from Chinchik. So this is very close, and every point is going to count.
Indeed, yeah, and they are staying very, very close indeed. You just saw it there. Yannis Simičić going from second all the way down to fourth, got completely freight trained by the two RAG cars, and yeah, that is it. Just shows how quickly things can change, can get completely flipped on their head. So still 13 minutes of racing action left to go. Still a lot of questions left to be answered. But yeah, you have to say it is going to go all the way down to the wire. A lot of maths involved. And Toman at the moment, he seems pretty comfortable because at the moment he's got his teammate and then Ziggy, who might not be as big of a threat to him. So for Toman, is he just content to sit in third? Is he going to try and consolidate this third place, or is he going to try and get that buffer back to Simičić?
We'll have to see how that one works out, because of course the slipstream can change things very quickly. We saw Simičić lose 2 places in one slipstreaming action, and that could potentially happen again. But the important thing for Toman as well is he can also basically let Yayovski go, battle Ziggy, and then if Yayovski gets ahead of Ziggy, then that will remove 5 points. And the Team Redline driver will then obviously not have enough. But now Chinchik towards the inside maybe of Simičić, coming towards that first corner. Another RAG car going up the inside of Yerni Simičić, who loses 3 places in a lap, and all to RAG cars. He's now got Yuri Kazdorp from Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports right behind him in that 6th place as well. But Simičić is trying to come back as we come up the hill once again through the tunnel. Bit of side-by-side action between the two, just showing you how powerful that slipstream is. Chinchik goes through, and now Simičić is going to be able to get back through once again on the exit of the tunnel. More contact between the two though. That's twice Chinchik has had contact in this tunnel. Is he going to be able to hold on to it though? Actually, the Slovenian driver around the outside of the Little King into the braking zone, and he gets up into 4th place.
Lovely done. Great mutual respect between the both of the two of them. They've lost a little bit of time back to the top 3, but Simičić has managed to hang on to P4 as they all constantly their way up with Ziggy, Yovski and Toman. That could allow these guys to close the gap back up. But yeah, Marcel Chinchik and Yannis Simičić both fighting very, very hard for this 4th place. You could see that straight away Simičić was already on the counter-attack with the slipstream. You can see ducking and diving right left, doesn't really know where to go. Here comes Chinchik to the left-hand side, squeezed all the way to the wall. You can just tell how tight this circuit is. He's managed to get his nose ahead using the slingshot, and then down into the next right-hander, gets himself all the way around the outside and up into P4 once more again. So Yannis Simičić really struggling to get the ball rolling in here in race 2.
Absolutely. It's been a bit of chaos again at the beginning of this 2nd race. So if you missed, obviously, the beginning of this race, Yovski started from pole position alongside Yerni Simičić and Yuri Toman at the front of the field, but Ziggy managed to get himself towards the front, and Yovski dropping behind Simičić as well, but he's coming back and he's coming towards the red line driver who is leading this race. Currently, Ziggy is sitting on 14 points, which is 4th place after that first race. So he really needs to get this victory if he wants to have an opportunity at the championship. As it stands, Ziggy and Toman will be tied on points, but then the countback will go from the result of this 2nd race, and of course Ziggy taking the win there will be then therefore taking it. So it's important for Yovski, not only for himself for this race victory, but also for his teammate Toman in 3rd place if he can get this victory. But it looks like Ziggy is very fast indeed as we're coming to just under 11 minutes to go.
We are indeed, and now down the pit straight once more to tick off yet another lap. Is Yovski eyeing up the move? You can see Toman is very close on this fight, so he might get involved himself actually through the first braking zone, through the right hander now, and then into the tunnel. And you can see actually in the background Yuri Kazdorp all over the back of Yannis Simičić, so it might be yet another place lost for Simičić. It would be a shame to see that because he was coming into this race on the front row in prime position maybe to contend for the championship. You can just see now how close Erhan Yovski is on the back of Kevin Ziggy through the tunnel. Not really much that you can do side by side as well between Simičić, Kazdorp and Chinchik for 4th place as they exit the tunnel. Still 1, 2 and 3 as they were, but Simičić has worked his way back up to 4th.
He certainly has, but yeah, Kazdorp getting involved in that battle as well. So we've got 2 3-way battles inside this top 6, and just look how close these guys are staying. Look, the 2 RAG cars chasing down Team Redline for this victory. €3,500 alongside Hoistingveld Ultimate Pedals for the winner, 2,000 for 2nd place and 1,500. But remember, it is the combined total of that first race a few minutes ago and now this 2nd race here as well. So it's not just the result on track today, which is how it is obviously makes it even more important for these drivers to try and get the positions that they can to try and overcome that points deficit they maybe had or lost in the first race. And through this 360-degree corner, and it just keeps on going to the left-hand side. And Yuri Toman just watching his teammate there, getting a bit closer, but this part of the track last time was where Yuyovski had the run through the tunnel and then back up the hill. There's a massively fast left-handed corner, not the biggest braking zone in the world, but it looks like Team Redline driver able to hold on this time around.
At least for now, and Siggy has been doing that pretty much all race long. He's done a fantastic job. You can see Yuyovski getting a bit squeamish going through there. Toman able to close the gap 1, 2 and 3, bumper to bumper to bumper pretty much. Simincic as well. If these three continue to fight, if they do sort of trip over each other a little bit, Simincic can then reclose the gap. So not all over really for the Best Esports driver there in P4, trying to make amends for what has been a pretty poor start. But look at Marcel Cinchik. He's down in P7. He was up in P4 really at the beginning of this lap. So not entirely sure as to what happened to him, but yeah, certainly catastrophic sort of play of events for him.
Exactly, but Yuyovski now towards the inside of turn number 1. Maybe this is a massively wide part of the track, but not quite enough. You see Siggy there when he's got his, I think Jeffrey Revel sitting behind him at the Team Redline HQ. As we have seen many times before, they've got a bit of a sim house there that they all drive in. And of course, with Le Mans Virtual as well, see plenty of action for these teams. But now today, Siggy needs to hold on to this, but he can't because Yuyovski all the way to the outside of the kink in the tunnel. Now he'll have the inside. Toman's trying to follow him through as well, but Siggy just cuts him off there, keeps that second place. And Toman has to sit behind in third place, but Yuyovski up towards the lead for the first time since losing it at the start of this race. And as we come through this middle part of the track, he needs to see if Siggy can get back, because as it stands, Toman will have the points total over him.
Yeah, but now Siggy is going to be getting the advantage of that slipstream on a track that is very straight line speed orientated. A couple of kinks along the way. Yuyovski already to the right hand side now to defend. Here comes Kevin Siggy looking to the left hand side. It'll be the long way around, but with that slingshot he might be able to get himself ahead going into the next right hander. Has Yuyovski got the inside held firm? He's going to break very late indeed. It's going to be a very long right hander with the inside bit of contact as they run their way through. Pretty much equal level pegging as they run their way through. Kevin Siggy still stuck on the outside. Here comes Yuri Terman now to the inside. Has been left out to dry as Kevin Siggy. He might now be down to third, but here comes Leone Simičić and Yuri Kazdop. It could now turn into, Cam, a 5-way fight for the lead.
Absolutely can. Simičić has been gifted a few seconds back in this battle, side by side still through the tunnel between Toman and of course Siggy there on the inside up towards this king. Simičić actually hitting the brakes, trying not to get involved with this battle too much because he knows this could be a massive crash at this point of the trackers. Kazdorp as well, now 5-way battle for this lead with under 7 minutes to go. We still do not know who is going to be taking victory, but Yuyovski is leading at the moment. Siggy holding on to that second place somehow, but he's got a train of cars coming for him as we come to start another lap.
God knows how Siggy managed to do that. He has been on fire. All bit of contact as he exits through that left-hander as well. He sort of tapped the barrier and lost a bit of momentum there. That could put him on the back foot versus Yuri Toman, who's now right behind him on this long run towards the next braking zone. And Yuyovski is completely flown away. 7 tenths now is the gap. Here's the onboard from Yuri Kazdorp as they head under brakes in towards this next right-hander, and then they'll enter the tunnel, a very long flat-out section. Just how close you are to the barrier. It's so fast. It all comes at you so quickly. The margin of error is so slim, but 5 cars now, anything can happen over the next 6 minutes, Cam.
Certainly can, and just with how close they are in the points as well, pretty much any of Siggy, Toman, Simičić could be working this out as Kazdorp gets a massive run there, but I think he just lifts off a tiny bit, but up ahead of them, they're getting close. Top 3 as well. Just massive battle here for the lead, as you would expect. Huge prizes on offer for these guys, and they just know every, tenth of a second is counting in this track. It's just so close with the slipstream that we get in this McLaren Senna GTR as well around the Maastricht street track, which is actually able to get on the workshop for R-Factor 2 if you want to try it out yourself. A very fast and flowing track, as you have seen. Well, as it stands, now almost 3/4 of the way into this race, Yuyovski is at the front, and now Toman trying to get on the back of Siggy, trying to get closer and closer. Siggy towards the inside, but not quite enough braking zone at this part of the track.
Yeah, not quite. You can certainly see he had a look. He got perilously close to the rear end there of Yuyovski, but Kevin Siggy taking the sensible option of being able to back out of that one. Then through the next right-hander, they are so bunched up, so close, are our top 5. You can see Yuri Kazdorp just a little bit further back because of, again, it's just so easy for things to go drastically wrong amongst all 4 of them. So Yuri Kazdorp wants to have that margin just to be safe, to be able to react to it, and then maybe carve his way through and gain quite a few places, you can see. And then into the next left-hander, Siggy once more look into the inside, trying to put that pressure on more so than anything, just to fill the mirrors of Yuyovski and say, hey, I'm here, put that pressure on, because as soon as, if you are able to make your opponent crack under pressure, as we say, it's so close to the walls. If they make even the slightest of mistakes, it can end in disaster.
And the one thing, though, these drivers is, well, all 8 of these drivers, in fact, they've all driven against each other in multiple competitions, multiple cars, and all different sorts of racing, sprint racing, multicast racing as well. They know exactly what they can do. But of course, when it comes to down to this type of format, you can't think about a move. You just have to go for it if you get the opportunity. As we're getting maybe Hasselhoff in the back, and they're looking at that 4th place ahead of Simincic with the front 3. They remain in formation, as does the 2 and 4th and 5th. And Chinchik, surprisingly, has not been able to keep up with these top 5, as well as Burlak and Kappa as well, also just flowing down the way. Of course, getting towards the end, they'll be getting their 500 euros anyway, but they won't be getting the big prizes, as we now see Siggy towards the outside. Toman coming through as well on Yuyovski. Yuyovski lifts off, lets them through, and Siggy goes back towards the lead. Toman in that 2nd place, and is getting very feisty once again. Yuyovski losing 2 places there in one corner.
He was very unlucky indeed, but that's how the slipstream goes around this circuit. Siggy playing it to absolute perfection. Same to Yuri Toman, just to follow him through, use that gap, and then freight train his way through up in a 2nd place. Now in prime opportunity to try and chase after Kevin Siggy for 1st place. Through this very long right-hander, still completely flat out. 4 tenths is the gap between the race leader of Kevin Siggy and Yuri Toman in 2nd place. It's a very long run. He is closing that gap very quickly, but into this next right-hander, you're not on the brakes for very long, so you do certainly have to have a pretty good run. But just look at how composed that Kevin Siggy looks. He's leading the race. He's now got 4 cars behind him, 4 very decorated drivers in sim racing, and he just looks so composed. It looks so natural for him, and dealing with this pressure is certainly what can help him win this race.
Yeah, it's getting very tense indeed. 2.5 minutes to go, so I think we're going to have one more lap by the time we get to the finish line this time around, as it will clock to 0 on this next run. So just a lap and a quarter to go at this Sim Formula Europe final. We've been waiting 9 months for this, and it's certainly been a cracker of a final. 2 races of action tonight, with the sort of sprint race reverse grid earlier, and now this final 20-minute race to round off the championship and see who is going to come out on top. 2 minutes to go, so one more lap. Kevin Siggy, Team Redline, is leading the way with Toma and Yuyovski all over the back of him. And even Simincic has caught up a bit on this previous lap. 5-way battle for the victory. And we still don't know, really, Zach, who is going to come out on top.
All comes down to this. One more lap then to decide the Sim Formula Europe champion of 2022. The build-up has been insane up into this one to decide the final 8 that come into this race. Of course, the previous champion of Yuyovski gets a free pass, but the other 7 had to work hard for it. It's all come down to this, delayed by COVID, but finally we are here. We are here on the final lap, and here could potentially be the championship winning move for Toman. To the outside through the tunnel, it quickly becomes the inside for the next right-hand king. Has he managed to get that car ahead? Kevin Siggy has to tuck in behind, and that's going to be incredibly frustrating for him, but still the entire lap left to go. It's certainly not all over for the Team Redline driver.
Yeah, Tobin winning that first race, getting the 1 bonus point for 3rd place in qualifying as well. And he's now potentially getting a double race victory here with 3/4 of a lap to go. He goes to the front, and Siggy certainly wasn't fighting that one too hard. I think he knows potentially the chance is gone. But of course, they are fighting for their other positions up and down the field as well. So Siggy will want to hold on to this 2nd place, but Yuyovski potentially is going to be sending it up the inside here, up towards this back straight, towards the 360-degree corner. Toman holding on for R8G as it stands. Any moves in the background doesn't look like it for the moment, but it's certainly still very close between them.
Indeed, and anything can happen. Yuri Toman could still make a drastic mistake that costs him, but Kevin Siggy's going to be trying his absolute hardest to stay in contention, maybe to consolidate 2nd place, but he's going to want to try and end it out with a victory. But for Yuri Toman, he's been on fire today, absolutely brilliant to take the win in race 1, to capitalise on the mistakes of others, and now he's worked incredibly hard for it, because fighting 5-way for the race lead, it's not ever going to be easy. Into the final portion of the lap now, Cam. Can Kevin Siggy get himself back in front?
We're just going to see guns a bit wide though. So does Yuyovski, follows him into the wall. Simoncic is going to be right on the back of him for the podium in this second race. Simoncic managed to get on the podium in the first race after a bit of a dive, but just 2-3 corners to go now. And it looks like it's going to be Yuri Toman. He won the first race, and it looks like he's going to be getting full points in the second race as well through the final corner. And as it stands, Yuri Toman is going to be the champion of Sim Formula Europe 2022. What a race and an evening of racing that has been. Toman somehow winning the 2 races, even with that reverse grid, managing to take home victory for the 3rd year in a row for RAG Esports as well. But what a show Ziggy put on there. He tried his best. He was leading the race for multiple laps, even in both of them. Simoncic as well putting on a good fight, but unfortunately for Yovski, couldn't return the favour of what he did last season. But Toman there taking home €3,500, followed by the Hoisingveld Ultimate Pedals as well. He's going to be very happy with that. And Zach, a bit of chaos in that first race, but it seemed to be toned down and be a lot more civilised in that second race. And just what a finish we had there with a last lap move.
Yeah, absolutely. It was more exciting action than it was sort of chaotic action in race 2 as opposed to race 1. Still fantastic racing across race 1 and race 2. And that second race was just so tense. It was pretty much the entire race of, 2, 3, all the way up to 5-car train for the win. Toman, it might seem that he's completely dominated this event, taking both victories, but he had to work so hard for that second race to, have 4 other cars around you, all benefiting off that slipstream around a circuit that, slipstream is always going to be a massive, massive factor in it. And he managed to hang on. He got the move done when it counted, going on to that final lap, and Kevin Siggy didn't really have much of an answer for it for the remainder of the lap. So yeah, Toman is very, very deserved to do that, and RAG as well. Sheer domination, it has to be said, in Sim Formula Europe.
Yeah, that is a pretty crazy stat. 3 years in a row, 2020 with Risto Capit, 2021 with Erhan Yuyovski, and now Yuri Toman in 2022 winning the Sim Formula Europe, powered by NextView. And I think they're going to be very happy with that one. It's a very difficult sort of format to get yourself to the front, with the hot lap qualifiers first, then with the quarterfinals, which can always be a little bit of chaos because there were 3 quarterfinals that went on with that. Then of course the semi-finals way back, remember, in December 2021, and now here in 2022 we are getting the final. And to be honest, as you say, Yuri Toman, he did such a good job there. He put himself up there in qualifying, got that extra bonus point, took the victory in race 1, avoided the chaos, and then had the composure to do a final lap move to seal the deal and even take victory across the line.
Yeah, it was a masterclass for Yuri Toman today. He, of course, all throughout the event, just to get here is such a reward in of itself. €500 just for turning up is not a bad reward at all. But he's worked so hard to be here. He's put probably countless hours of practice in to fight at the top level of sim racing and to be here today. And he showed up. He delivered on the day that counted. It doesn't matter how quick you are in practice. You had to turn up today. You had to be quick, and he certainly was. And yeah, by the margin of 12 points over Kevin Siggy, the points say it all. It's just, Yuri Toman, 2022 Sim Formula Europe champion. Yeah, well, he certainly deserves his place here next year.
He does, and as you say, the champion gets through automatically to the 2023 championship, which I'm sure info will be coming your way very shortly indeed, as that is obviously planned to continue in January. So that should be coming up very soon indeed. But as it stands, let's go through Yuri Toman there winning the championship by 12 points in the end, as you say, which is a big margin considering the points system that we had. He's getting €3,500 in the Hoisingveld Ultimate Pedals as well. €2,000 for second place there for Kevin Siggy, so he did try, but still a nice payout for him. And P3 for Jerne Simoncic there by some 10 points. He's going to be getting €1,500. Peter Burlak having a fairly sort of quiet day, but getting the solid result in 4th place. He's getting €1,000. And then the final 4 drivers of Yuyovski, Kazdorp, Chinchik and Risto Capit rounding out the top 8, all getting €500 as well. So that has been just an intense evening of racing. Waiting all the 9 months as well certainly is very very tricky for these drivers, but they came out and they gave us an amazing show.
They did. They delivered on all fronts. All 8 of them deserve to be here, and the show they put on was magnificent. I hope everyone at home did enjoy it. The build up to this has been intense. It's been well worth the 9-month wait between Spa and here today. But yeah, Cam, I've really enjoyed today. It was, race one was fantastic, chaotic all the way through. Toma managed to capitalize on that and seal the win, and then carried that momentum, that confidence into race two. Didn't, succumb to the pressure, because again, it's so easy to either thrive under pressure or completely crack under it. It happens on drivers, but these are the top percentile of sim racing drivers, and they all were going out there for a massive prize. You just have to say that with that sort of a build up to it, that sort of setup going into an event like this, it was always going to be great action. And well, yeah, as we say, they delivered on all fronts.
Well, it certainly was, and we hope to look forward to an amazing event in 2023 as well. So do look out for all the information that will come out if you want to get yourself involved in the sort of the qualification phase, and even getting yourself towards the final as well. That should hopefully be coming up very soon. But of course, we want to thank our partners in Nextview, Hoisingveld and BenQ as well. But that has been it for the 2022 finals here at the Sim Formula Europe and Maastricht. It's been an amazing event. We had to obviously put it online this time around, but hopefully we can get the land final next time around 2023. So yeah, look out for all the information on that. But that wraps it up here. We thank you for watching. Myself, Cameron Rogers, Zach Sweeney taking you through, and Ruben Correa Alves doing the broadcast behind the scenes. We thank you for watching, and goodbye.